Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about my top 10 worst films of 2025. Me, Brendan, and Sam over on Our Life and Horrors channel, we already did our top 10 favorite films of 2025. So if you want to check that out, go to Our Life and Horror. I'll leave a link in the description down below. That was a great live stream. We had a lot of fun, a lot of different picks over there too. So check it out. But today we got to talk about the worst of the worst, at least in my opinion, because 2025, man, had some real stinkers. Luckily, the back half kind of picked up and we got some good ones that snuck in there, that kind of helped, like make it a little bit better of a year. But, 2025, man, Jesus. There were some, like, it felt like me and Allie saw 3 or 4 just bad movies in a row, and it's like it almost got to the point to where I didn't want to go to the movies anymore. I mean, I was getting really burned out because it just felt like pissing away money. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into it, guys. Let's talk about these. All right. At number 10, and these are all pretty shitty. I'm looking at my Letterboxd right now. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Anthony's Horror if you want to check me out there. But these are all pretty shitty, but sure, it'll be 10-1 because there definitely is like a number 1 that's the shittiest of the shit. But at number 10, we've got Den of Thieves 2. Man, I don't know. I just thought everything about I mean, I don't know. Not everything, but like there was, from what I remember, because this was a while ago, like there was some good directing. There were some cool like visuals and things, especially once you kind of got to the like maybe third act of the movie. But the dialogue was awful for the most part. And it was just really boring. I mean, this was a boring ass movie. And I just didn't care. You could tell they thought they were pretty sophisticated, like they were kind of going for like a Heat type thing, like Heat slash Ocean's 11 slash whatever, you know what I mean? Like, trying to be a cool heist film type movie. But everything about it was so boring. I mean, it really was. I didn't care about any of the characters. You got little baby Ice Cube in here, trying to be an actor like his daddy, and I just wasn't buying into it at all. You got Gerard Butler, who, he's a badass. I like Gerard Butler in his, like, action roles usually, but this one, it's just not working for me. I said, in my review, I said 2 hours solely spent on characters and setup, and yet I felt nothing for these fucking people, and the story was a complete snooze fest. I mean, that wraps it up. That's really how I feel. But like I said, the cinematography was really good. I like that. And I shouted out Terry Stacy, who was the cinematographer on it. But yeah, Gerard Butler. I was just saying that he felt so tame in this movie. I'm like, dude, it's Gerard Butler. Like, I want to hear him get like really pissed, because he's got that in him from 300 and a lot of his other films. Come on, let's see it. Let's see him, law-abiding citizen. Let's see that Gerard Butler, but you just don't really get any of that. And then I said, Pepsi must have paid Gerard Butler per sip for that product placement. So I think he was just like sipping on a Pepsi really slowly, and there were multiple shots of him just drinking it. I was like, good Lord. I mean, I love Pepsi, but what the fuck, man? So yeah, that's number 10. Number 9, Flight Risk. Dear God. Flight Risk, which should have been a fun 90s throwback thriller, but ended up just being this poor excuse for a thriller film. Now, I will say that Mark Wahlberg was kind of fun in the movie. He's kind of like this redneck, said a lot of nasty stuff, and, you believe that he's a psychopath. So I did like that, but the problem is there's only 3 of them up in a plane. So you're not going to get any cool kills. Nobody's going to die, really, more than likely. And it's just like him talking a lot. And he escapes like 3 or 4 times. The U.S. Marshal chick just keeps knocking his ass out and throwing him in the back, and then she turns her back to him. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, she's a real great U.S. Marshal. I'm like, she should have probably shot him or kicked his ass out of the fucking plane, like on the second attempt of escaping. But whatever. Like I said, the dialogue was pretty bad for the most part. I mean, there was some good stuff. Like I liked it when she was talking to that guy who was like helping her fly the plane. I thought some of that was okay. And Topher Grace, I like Topher Grace, but he's such a bitch in this movie. I mean, he really is. He's just the biggest pussy in the world. And I know Topher Grace kind of plays those characters, but I don't know. It just wasn't super amusing. I mean, it was okay. He's Topher Grace, so I do like him. I like that 70s show and, some of the other stuff he's been in, Predators, But yeah, the movie, from what I remember, too, it looked like, a good amount of green screen probably, and just, I don't know, man. Just not very well directed or anything, and that's sad because it's Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson directed Flight Risk, and it's just like, wow, dude, did you need the paycheck that badly? I mean, come on, did the Lethal Weapon checks run out already? Jesus. Did the Passion of the Christ movie, did that money run out too? What the hell, dude? The guy's directed so many bangers, and he's such a great actor. I just can't believe he did that movie. It's a shame. But that's number 9. Number 8, we've got Dangerous Animals. Now, this is a movie I really wanted to like. I did. But sadly, this dumbass chick is in there, and I can't fucking stand her. She's horrible. She's so fucking obnoxious. I can't believe it. Now, I know some people really love this movie, but man, she just drives me crazy. Like, I don't like her character at all. She hooks up with this guy in his van. This is basically like how the movie starts. I mean, it starts a little bit before that, but they're hooking up in his van, and then she just leaves. Like, he went to go make breakfast, bring breakfast to her, and then she just bounces. And I'm like, okay, they're trying to switch the roles. Like, she's the man, he's like the chick, and all that stuff. Like, they're trying to see how hard she is. She can just fuck this guy and leave just like a guy would. I'm like, no. Because then she ends up getting kidnapped by this psycho killer he's a serial killer who feeds his victims to sharks out in the middle of the water. Played by Jai Courtney. And I'm just like, all right, that's cool. Like, it's an interesting concept. I like it. Kind of weird and out there, but I like it. That's a good idea. It's fun. And, Jai Courtney's awesome. I really love his performance. But anyway, so she gets kidnapped, and then this guy who's only known her for like a day, basically, like a day and a night, and he's like out trying to track her down and become like this detective and find her and do all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you hit it once and now you're already like searching for this chick and doing all this. I'm like, good Lord, man. Like, what the fuck? It just seemed like so, like, no guy would do that. Nobody would do that. And it's just, I don't know. And then, okay, so she's on the boat, and this is another thing that frustrates me, just like it kind of frustrated me in Flight Risk. She escapes a bunch of times, and instead of Jai Courtney's character just killing her, he keeps just putting her back, tying her to the bed, restraining her, and just keeping her around. And I'm like, why wouldn't he just kill her? I mean, what is he saving her for? Really? But you do get some cool shark action. He dips this one, this couple in the water, and then like he dips another lady in the water, and you get like, their limbs being ripped off, and there's blood and gore and all that good stuff. And like I said, Jai Courtney's very menacing, but at the end of the day, dude, if I can't stand the lead because she's just so loud and annoying, and she's one of those characters that thinks she's too cool for school, like she's the shit and all this stuff. And don't know. I couldn't get into the movie because of her, basically, and even the guy she's with, because he's, just kind of a bitch. I mean, really, he really is, and he's just, I don't know. So, yeah. So that's, if you liked it, that's cool. I know a lot of people did, and that's fine. But for me, if your final girl is somebody that I'm rooting for getting eaten by the sharks, there's a problem. There's a problem. All right, next up. So this will be number 7, right? 10, 9, 8. Yes, this will be number 7, and that is Megan 2.0. Yeah, Megan 2.0. I don't know. I mean, I liked the first Megan. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was like mind blowing or anything like that, but I thought it was good. It was a fun little killer doll type movie, like Killer AI or whatever. But this movie just, tries to do the classic Terminator thing where it makes Megan the good girl, the like protagonist, and then you have a new antagonist, which is like another AI machine, whatever, and she teams, Megan teams up with the people that built her and the girl that's, she's friends with, and they all team up to take on this other machine, basically. And instead of being a horror movie, it turns more into like an action movie, but it's still PG-13, so there's like barely any blood, and you don't really get that many cool kills because it's PG-13. And I don't know, I just wasn't amused by it. I didn't think it was, once again, all of the characters, it's just such generic dialogue. I'm like, I don't know who's writing this stuff, but what happened to good dialogue? Remember good dialogue from like the 90s, the 70s, the 80s, like, even in terms of just like being a fun movie, like a fun 80s movie. Remember how good the dialogue was? Like from Schwarzenegger and Stallone and like all these, you know what I mean? Remember, even if the movie was just like a fun movie, the dialogue was, you have all these memorable lines, like, even something silly, just like stick around, just great one-liners that you just remember forever and ever. But, like, get away from her, you bitch, stuff like that. But you don't get anything like that in Megan 2.0. It's just, it's supposed to be fun, but it's not really fun. So I wanted to like it more, but no. All right. Coming in at number 6, we have, and this breaks my heart, but The Conjuring Last Rites. I love Patrick Wilson. I love Vera Farmiga, but dude, this movie was a mess. I mean, this was a mess of a film. It was all over the place. They introduce a new family that's being haunted, which is cool. Okay. Just like The Conjuring 2, introduce a new family being haunted. And the first Conjuring, okay, cool, got to set. But the problem is you don't care about anyone in this new family. Because even though you do get some time with him, they do a little bit too much bouncing around between characters, right? Because you got the new family, then you have our lead characters, Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, and then you have their daughter and their daughter's boyfriend, and then you also have a little bit of stuff with like the church and all this other stuff, and there's all this stuff going on, you know what I mean? There's all these different things going on, and it's not focusing enough on the family that's being haunted so that I care about them, like they did in the first film or the second film. But in this third one, I'm like, dude, I don't really care about what's going on with this family, And even the way it's shot, it's not scary. It's really not a scary movie at all. I wasn't scared once. Like in the first Conjuring, oh man, that the hide and clap, that was scary. And the second film also had some scary moments too. And good tension, like I felt those moments. But I wasn't feeling anything in The Conjuring 3. Or in The Conjuring 4, I'm sorry. 4 Last Rites. It was just a mess of a film. It was all over the place. too many characters. I didn't need all the stuff with the daughter and her boyfriend and getting married and the whole barbecue sequence and this and that. It's like, I just don't. And Jesus Christ, I mean, they're taking, they're giving people tours in their room, the room where they hold all of their cursed objects. They're giving tours now. Oh, come and see all the cursed things, but don't touch anything. And then he goes through his little spiel, blah, blah, blah. These items have all been placed here, found from like haunted houses, and everything in here is cursed, so don't touch it. He has that whole like speech that he gives, and he gives it a couple times in this movie. I'm like, okay, we get it. I mean, I like the speech, but I don't need to hear it like a bunch of times in the same movie. But it's like, why are you bringing people in this room? I mean, what? Why? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, because they're so careful that they have a whole room. Now, it's weird that it's in their house, but I mean, I guess, unless they're going to get a storage unit, where else are they going to put it, and a storage unit could get busted into, so it's like, okay, it's all in their house. They keep it locked up, but then you're giving tours? I was like, I don't know. I just don't know. I just could not get into that movie at all. I mean, like I said, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, those characters, I love them, and I'm not even hating on them, because their relationship I still thought was strong in the film, but it was just kind of everything else going on around it. I just couldn't get into it. So yeah, that's number 6. All right, number 5. Number 5, we've got K-pop Demon Hunters. Yeah, this movie's just not for me. I mean, I'm not the demographic. I watched this over at my girlfriend's parents' house. They had it on, and I just kind of happened to, the whole family was watching it, so I was just watching it, and I was just cringing the entire time, because I just didn't think it was it's just not my thing. Like, there was some good music in it. I'll give credit where credit is due. There's some good music. I mean, it's not really my thing, but like, as far as pop music goes and stuff, I'm like, okay, I can see where some people would like this, but this is a movie really made for like teen girls. That's the demographic. I'm not saying if you're a guy or whatever, okay, you can be into it, it's fine. But the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, Jesus. And I understand there are deeper themes. I get it. I hate it when people write me off and they're like, you just don't get the deeper themes of the movie that's going on. There's really deeper things going on. No, I do understand the deeper themes. I'm not a fucking dipshit. I understand what's going on. I can watch a film. I've been watching movies for a very long time and whatever. Even as a kid, I've been watching movies and looking at them and even like criticizing and stuff. So I've been doing it for a long time. I understand what the film's trying to say. But the problem is people don't know how to write like tactful dialogue anymore. Everything's just shoved in your face like this, and it's not like, oh God, that was a really good movie, and I think I learned a little something. It's like, no, you're gonna fucking learn this, like, and then there's, I don't know, and to me it was just, I don't know, I thought what they were going for was just a little too dramatic. I mean, it's so dramatic, and if they had just made it like a fun action movie with pop music, and then like I said, you can kind of put the message in there, what you're going for, but it just felt a little heavy-handed and very over dramatic, which once again, that's why I kind of go back into like the, between the music and the drama, it just kind of feels like you're watching a CW show or something, like Dawson's Creek or, one of those older shows. And I don't know. It's just, I just don't think it's for me, but I'm happy that a lot of people love it, so that's good, enjoy it, but it just not my thing. All right, going to number 4. Number 4, we've got A Working Man. Jesus God. This is another movie that you would think would be like a layup, just such an easy action movie. Jason Statham, rated R, doing his Jason Statham thing, throwing some punches, throwing some kicks, doing all this stuff. But Dear man, there are some. Once again, it's the writing. It really is the writing because Jason Statham knows how to fight. I mean, he can fight, but all the action scenes for the most part are, he's not even Statham's not even getting hurt, like hardly at all. He's barely even getting a scratch. He's just kicking the shit out of all these people, and and all the villains are very like cartoony, like just very silly. They're not intimidating at all. And Jason Statham's basically just plowing through all of them. He's kicking the shit out of like 20 guys in one room. And I'm like, well, dude, if he can do all that, then what's, then obviously he's going to make it to the end of this movie. I mean, we know he's going to win at the end or whatever, but there, like I said, once again, there's no tension, there's no suspense because he's just beating the shit out of everybody. Like, and, I wanted to like it, but I really didn't. And there were a couple of dipshit villains in here, like, that were terrible. So the dialogue was awful. God, I'm trying to, once again, this was a while ago too, so I'm going to look at what I said. I said my head actually started to hurt about midway through this movie. That's true. These villains were fucking clown shoes, which is a reference, a Kevin Smith reference there. But from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. But I said they dressed like absolute idiots. The dialogue from all the villains was terrible and excruciating to listen to. My mom and I, because we saw this together in the theater, we were both like laughing at the movie. Like, not in a good way, but we were like laughing at the movie because it was so bad. And my mom loves action movies too, like Die Hard, Lethal Weapon 2, Cliffhanger, all the classic awesome action movies. She loves them. But yeah, I said there's this unbearable woman villain in the movie that made me want to rip my fucking eyeballs out of their sockets and then insert them into my ears not to listen to her god-awful, atrocious yammering any longer. Oh my god. But yeah, and this movie I also said that it kind of felt like it was ripping off a lot of other better action movies, like John Wick and Taken. But yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. So yeah, don't watch that one. For the love of God, don't watch that one. All right, number 3. We've got I Know What You Did Last Summer, the new one, the 2025 edition. Dear God, man, wow. Okay, what I'll say about this movie, the couple things that I liked. The fisherman killer, the look of the killer was fucking awesome. Like, they really nailed the look of the killer. I liked the outfit big time, and I like how he was like in the shadows and you can't really see his face or anything like that. Very cool. And the kills, there were some good kills in there. I liked it. You get like the harpoon gun and obviously his hook, and yeah, you get some okay kills in there. But man, these characters, holy shit. This cast of characters, dear God, man, they're awful. Awful. The only one that's like somewhat redeemable is this dude right here. It's the guy from Him. Actually, he's the lead in Him, another horror movie. But man, I mean, the dialogue, it's like that Gen Z dialogue that it's just the way the characters are written is so bad. It's excruciating to listen to. I mean, it really is. You almost just want to get up and leave because it's that bad. I can't relate to anything they're saying. It's just, they just sound like a bunch of fucking idiots most of the time. And even the way that the way the movie's edited, it's like they're having these conversations like this where it's basically just explaining everything to the audience, like of what's going on, but it's done in a terrible way, like not an organic way at all. But it's like almost, it might as well have been like, they might as well have just been looking at you and been like, oh yeah, did you know 10 years ago this happened and da, 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 and da, da, da. And I'm like, dude, they're not serious right now. That's not how they're doing this, is it? It was that bad. Um, and God, the big reveal at the end and who the killer, the reveal I'm talking about. I'm like, dude, that is so not earned at all. At all. It doesn't even make sense if you watched I Still Know What You Did Last Summer and like all the what I don't even want to because I don't want to spoil it, but it just doesn't make any sense that character would all of a sudden now be the killer. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad. So that's number 3. God. All right, number 2. Freakier Friday. Man. God damn. This is another one with just like atrocious dialogue and I really liked the one before this, the the first Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. I thought that was great. I thought it was excellent, actually. I mean, it was really well done. But this one, oh my God. I gotta go back to my review here and see what I said. This was so bad. Oh, and I wrote a shit ton too, but I said, man, what a fall from grace. Let's see. Yeah, oh yeah, why even yeah, they bring back all the old cast members and they don't do jack shit with them. So what was the point of even bringing them back? They're so underutilized cuz they introduce now Lindsay Lohan has a daughter and then Lindsay Lohan's daughter and so it's Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis, and then Lindsay's daughter, and then who was it? The daughter's friend or something? Who's the other person that got switched? Whatever. They all switch. There's like 4 different people, and they all switch body. Oh, it's the daughter of the guy that Lindsay Lohan's getting ready to marry or whatever. That's what it is. That daughter. So the 4 of them all switch up bodies. And God, it's so stupid. To me it was. And oh yeah, the film throws, I wrote this down too, the film throws in a lot of political keywords such as gaslighting, cultural appropriation, and a sign on the daughter's door that said something like, please, no trigger words. So you got all this stupid shit in there on top of it, all this dumb stuff that you just, that they just shove in your face, especially nowadays. Oh yeah, and then then there's a character that's waving around like a gay pride flag, and they show it like a bunch of times just to make sure you really see it, and I'm like, good Lord. I even said Jesus Disney. I'm like, Disney who pretends to love everybody, but they fucking just eat money. Like, give me a fucking break. But yeah, there was no magic here. Oh God, and then there was that scene at the record store too. God, that was so cringy. Oh man. Yeah. A lot of callbacks to the original movie that landed flat. Yeah. Jesus. Oh yeah, Walgreens. Walgreens definitely had some product placement in here because they were showing that a lot. Yeah, it was just bad. It was really bad. Some of these I have to go back to my letterbox and look at too because I saw them a long time ago, and like this was back in August 12th is when I logged this. So, it helps to kind of refresh my, I almost said refreshify. Shout out to Joyride. But refresh my memory on some of this stuff. And then I'm trying to block these out. Clearly, I'm just, it didn't happen. But yeah, it's awful. All right, number 1, the worst movie, and this should come to no surprise to anyone, and that is The Strangers Chapter 2. What a fucking pile of shit. Jesus. I mean, I feel bad for this chick too, this redhead chick here, because I think she does a decent job acting-wise. Like, I think she's okay. If she was put in a movie that actually had, that was actually well written and you know had like good characters for her to play off of, and stuff like that, then I think she would do a decent job. But this movie and the first one too, um, they're just not good. I mean, the first one, at least it like had some moments, like the setup with them as a couple and everything. I was like, okay, they seem like a real couple. All right, I can kind of buy it a little bit. But then it does a lot of the same stuff that the first film did, and or the original Strangers did, and then I feel like Chapter One just kind of copies a lot of that same stuff and just does a way worse job at it. And the lighting is terrible in that first movie, especially. Good God, there's like they're out in the middle of the woods, and there's just these lights beaming down, almost like spotlights or something, because obviously they're artificially lighting everything, and you can tell. I'm like, dude, where is all this lighting coming from? It's the middle of the woods. They're out in the middle of the country, in the woods. It should be pitch black. Pitch black. And there's just all this lighting. And I'm like, what the fuck? But anyway, all right, that's Chapter 1. Chapter 2, it's just a lot more of the same stuff. It's all the characters that they introduce, the new characters are, once again, it's dialogue like that no people in real life would ever have. It's stuff that people just don't say. Like, exchanges of dialogue that... I'm like, no one would say that. No one would talk to you like that. Nobody would like, it just doesn't make any sense. And, the kills aren't really good either. Much like the first movie, but the first movie barely has any kills anyway. But this one does have more kills, but they're still not really that good. I do like the looks of the Strangers. I think they look cool, but then they do this weird backstory of the Strangers. Like, they're trying to give them this whole backstories. But guys, once you give the Strangers a backstory, they cease to be the Strangers anymore. You know what I mean? You can't give them a backstory. That's the whole reason why they're scary, is because they're the Strangers, is because you don't know them. You don't know what they'll do. You don't know their mindset at all. It's kind of like Michael Myers in the original Halloween. It's scarier because you don't know really anything about him or why he snapped one night or anything like that. You don't know. That's what makes it scary. And with the Strangers, it's like, I don't know, maybe if they had done like a decent backstory for them, I could have gotten behind it. But it's just your typical bullshit, like, a little kid killing animals and just being evil, typical serial killer shit that they read on the internet, and they're like, oh, let's have him do this and this, I'm like, I don't know, like, you can do that well, like in Rob Zombie's Halloween. I actually do think they do a good job. If you're gonna give Michael a backstory, I think Rob Zombie did a pretty good job of like, okay, what would it look like if, it was a cause from like his family, like his upbringing, that made him this way and stuff. And it's like, it felt very realistic in a lot of ways. Whereas this just feels like cut and paste from like all these other serial killer shows that you saw. Oh yeah, a little bit of this, put in the animal violence, put in this stuff. Da, da, da. And it was just done very poorly. Let's see what I said here. The writing is bad. I'm almost starting to think that the writers are trolling us on purpose. That's true. It feels like they're winking at the camera and telling us all to eat shit. That's what it feels like watching The Strangers chapters 1 and 2. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then they basically, this whole movie is like a giant chase scene, which I love a good chase scene in a horror film, like in Scream, and I Know You Did Last Summer and all that. But this just feels like a long chase scene that doesn't go anywhere. It's very boring. There's no suspense or anything like that. So it's like, what are we doing? And yeah, and I said that each scene feels very overly dragged out and there's zero tension, right? And I feel bad for, her name's Madeline Pesh. Because I do think she seems like a competent, like enough actress to where if she had good material, she could pull something off. But, like I said in my review, the writing's just letting her down. And yes, yeah, and that's pretty much it. Pretty much everything I said is what I put in my review. And yeah, it was very. I'll tell you, this was one of those movies that Allie and I were like, God, should we just leave? It was that bad, or we were like, this is just like, should we just get up and go? I mean, because at this point, we're just wasting our lives watching this because we already were like, it's just dumb. And then you have that whole weird scene with like the warthog too. Remember that? Like, what the fuck is going? I'm like, it's interesting. It's kind of. I'm like, okay, that little part was kind of cool, just for something. It was kind of weird and different. I was like, okay, well, that's interesting, but I don't know. It just, it just didn't feel like it belonged in that movie either. I'm like, okay, so now he trained warthogs like when he was a kid, and now he's got one going after her and stuff. It just felt like it was something from a different movie. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the Strangers, both those films, chapters 1 and 2, have been horrendous. So I think I'm just gonna stick with the original Strangers and The Strangers Prey at Night, because those are both. Well, I think the first Strangers is excellent, and then Strangers Prey at Night, I think, is a very good movie. I think it's a very good slasher film. But these two installments, these last two, have been awful. Awful, awful. So, yeah, that's it, guys. Top 10 worst films of 2025. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to leave your top 10 or top 5 or top 3, whatever. Some of your worst films, leave them down in the comments below. I'm curious to see what you think. I might do a top 5, maybe top 10, but probably just top 5 most disappointing movies of 2025, because there were definitely some of those. So yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next time. On the next one. Catch you on the next one, guys. Peace out.